today.
All right, joining us now from Capitol Hill is House Majority Leader Congressman Kevin McCarthy. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. Before we get into the issues, last time I saw you, you were so optimistic about Steve Scalise, the whip, and then we find out he had a setback. Can you update everybody about how he's doing today?
Yes, I was with him on the 4th of July. I actually saw him, my wife and I, he and Jennifer, in the hospital, and he was in the chair. He was out of his bed in the chair.
Great.
Now, one thing I want to tell you, I was at the hospital the day of the shooting. I was with the doctor, and what we were battling at that time was the amount of bleeding. But the doctor told me, once we go through this, it's not if, it's when Steve would get an infection. And so this was... We knew this would come about. We just didn't know when would this happen. Steve had a little temperature. He's been battling the infection. Talked to Update last night. He was doing better, and that's really what we're fighting and working through today. But he looks so much better. He was back to finally eating any food that he wanted, so he was feeling better.
That's great. Well, we wish him all the best if he's watching this morning. Let's talk about health care. The president is pushing the Senate to pass his health care bill by next week or to work through the August recess. So what is the plan moving forward?
Well, I think they need to get it done. Let's not wait to August. We have 3 more weeks right now. I know during the 4th of July, when people back in their district, they were working out different ideas. They're looking at Congressional Budget Office to score those ideas and have a vote next week. This is much what would happen inside the House. Remember, a lot of people didn't give us the opportunity or thought we could get it done, and we did. So I have high hopes that they get it done, send it over to this House, and let's solve this problem once and for all. Because every day that goes by, we have a new story. Just in the short amount of time since the House passed the bill, 1 more of those co-ops have collapsed. It's now 19 out of 23 co-ops that were given $2 billion under Obamacare have now collapsed.
Sure, absolutely. And Congressman, I got to ask you, though, because I know the ball is in the Senate court right now, and it's up to Mitch McConnell to pull a rabbit out of a hat and try to get the requisite number of yes votes on it. But every Republican on Capitol Hill knows that unless you can get this done, you're going to be punished next time folks roll around to the polls.
We made this promise. There is no excuse. Every member that had served here prior has voted on repealing Obamacare and made the promise that we would actually improve, lower the cost of premiums, the quality of care. There's story after story where the premiums have doubled in the individual market. 41% of every county only has 1 provider. What more do individuals need to understand?
Right.
That they need to move this bill forward for the quality of care.
I know that you said the president was very active when the House bill was coming through. Yesterday it was speculated that maybe the president would do well to speak generally to the country about the need to get this done and frame it out and put additional pressure aside from tweets on the Republicans to push this forward and reaffirm his commitment and outline what has to be in there. Would that help a speech?
I know the president is always helpful when he's talking to members, and I think talking to the American public is a great idea. Explain to them, because if we simply go on the facts, I mean, remember this, under Obamacare, it mandates that you have health insurance. If you don't, you have to pay a penalty or take a waiver. More people, almost twice as many, pay the penalty or take the waiver than what's signed up for it. So if you want to go back to the old CBO score, it never materialized what Obamacare said it would do. All it did was raise premiums, push more people out of the market, look at the number of counties next year that will not even have any health care.
Sure.
We cannot wait, and I think the president talking to the American people will help drive those phone calls to those senators and encourage them to get it done this month.
Yeah, Congressman, there's a report in the Wall Street Journal that apparently one of the plans with this new plan, the revised version that's going to be unveiled, there's a possibility some of those taxes that you guys try to get rid of in the House may actually be left in place in the Senate. Republicans who voted for repeal and replace didn't vote for that.
No, we voted to repeal those taxes because that's continuing to harm this economy. Think for the last 8 years, the middle class is worth less today than they were 8 years ago. If you take the highest growth year under Barack Obama, it's still lower than the lowest year under Clinton. This country has got to get working again, and we have seen in the short time of Donald Trump that more jobs are being produced. He's going after the regulatory. We changed that. Now we're trying to make sure health care has the quality and the affordability that we deserve. We've got that through the House. Let's get it through the Senate, and let's finish the job we promised the American people we would do.
If those taxes are there, this whole thing is predicated on passing as if you guys don't go to conference. You'll take the Senate plan, you'll say, okay, let's put that forward and let Tom Price have at it over the next upcoming months and years. Well, if those taxes are there, will that stop Kevin McCarthy and company from signing off on it?
Look, I'm not going to prejudge. Let's see what the Senate produces. I know where their heart is, and I know where they've been going. I think what the product they produce is going to look pretty close to what the House did, and that we could be accepting of what they do.
All right, there are two Republican congressmen that say they're going to shut down the government if you don't build the big, beautiful Mexican wall. There's Mark Meadows and Mo Brooks saying we need to fund this wall. We want the money to do it. What's your reaction?
I always think that's exactly what we're working on, the appropriations. So join with us in the appropriations process and help us pass those bills. I never think when you threaten somebody, we can get the job done, because this is something the president promised to the American public. This is something that he campaigned on, and one of the reasons why he was elected. We need the security in this country. We can get the job done, and the appropriations process is working right now. So join with us to pass that, and we can all be in the right place.
So you don't approve the threat? Because...
You know what? I've always found, I know Ronald Reagan, I have this big portrait of him smiling. You know, if you truly believe your policies bring people more freedom, you should be happy about it. You don't have to threaten people. More people want to join what you're doing. And this is something that the president campaigned on, so more people joined him, elected him to be president. Now let's get the job done.
Right. Before you go, exit question. A year from now, will they be building the wall?
I believe they so. If we get the appropriations through this year, they'll start building it next year. But what's even more important we'd have new health care, we'd have a new tax plan done, more people would be going to work, America would be coming exactly as the president said, great again.
Especially in San Diego, your state, where they could finish that wall pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of portions of San Diego that has been able to be built already when the Republicans were in the majority again in the past. We need to finish that across the country.
All right,
okay.
Congressman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
I like how the abbreviation, appropriations.
All right. Yeah.